Okay. Okay. Stop sharing. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy Thursday to everybody.
Yeah.
And good morning.
And which
I
episode
think
is
this
this?
is the first morning episode that we've done together.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We usually do afternoon, 1 o'clock?
Yeah,
Yeah,
1
1 o'clock.
2
Yeah.
o'clock, around there.
Yeah.
So hello, everybody. It's so nice to have you with us today.
Hello, everyone.
We are going to be talking to you about the topic of growth as an individual and how responsibility fits into all of that. And
Right.
So Simon and I really like to have a lot of audience participation when we talk to you guys. It makes it really fun for us, and I think for the group
Oh, yeah.
overall, where we can really just have an open, conversation. So feel free to ask questions, make any comments, or anything else that you want to bring up.
Yeah.
We always have our question and answer. Is it called chat or question and answer?
Q&A box.
Q&A box
Yeah.
open. Simon knows all the fancy terms. I just show up to talk. So we'll start by introductions. This is my friend Simon.
Yes. I graduated 2 months ago. Yeah. I'm a recent graduate. That's still volunteer and works here to help out. And I'm really glad to be a part of the webinar. Yeah.
We love having you.
Oh, thank you.
For the webinars. It's really great because Simon can offer, I'm not old per se, but I'm definitely not a young high school student anymore. And so Simon can offer the perspective of someone who's just come through as a high school student. So it's really valuable to the staff that he's working with for the webinar. So thank you, Simon, for joining and for your help.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Julia Jacquillard, and I am a staff member here at the Delphian School. And the reason why I wanted to participate and be part of these webinars is because I, for about a year and a half, worked one-on-one with our students in the ethics department. At our school, we have an ethics department that helps students to address any situations that they encounter that they need help with. It's a big part of our school that we encourage students to take responsibility when they've made a mistake or messed up on something, and that they get help to work through that. And we have a lot of different tools and ways that we're able to help our students when things do come up. And it's kind of our culture here that we embrace that part of student life instead of push it away. And we really just try to lean into helping students when they do have things come up. So from the time that I spent working with students one-on-one, I felt like I possibly had some insight that could be useful to the people that are home right now and trying to do the best that you guys can. And so here we go.
Okay.
So growth and responsibility. So the first thing we wanted to do was
to go over the definition.
Exactly. Cover what responsibility means. So
we have a definition from the ethics book. It's one of the courses we do early on in our program.
Right. So typically any student, usually around the age 13, 14, 15, when they first arrive as a high school student, would do this class, and it's called the ethics book, and it's incredible.
And you can get this if you after the webinar, if you're interested and want to know more about this book, it's going to be on heronbooks.com. And
I think we might have also sent the PDF to them in advance too. I believe we did. This is the
Amelie says she's doing the thinking book.
Oh, great, Amelie.
That's really great.
Yeah, it probably looks kind of similar with I think the thinking book might have a pink cover
pink one,
instead of blue, but so we're going to screen share with you so that you can see the definition that I'm going to read out.
Yes. So here, this is a definition from the ethics book.
Good. So we're going to go back to page 124. There we go. Responsibility. Okay.
Yes.
So we're just going to read this together, my friends. Responsibility means recognition of being cause. Responsibility is willingness to own or act or use or be.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk.
So there's two parts to it, right?
Yes. So we're going to talk quite a bit about this because there is so much depth to what this actually means. And we're going to break it down a bit and just kind of talk about it. So responsibility means recognition of being cause. the picture that's given in the book is very simple. A boy is playing basketball. He shoots a hoop. The hoop goes in. He's like, yeah, I made that basket.
Right.
So he recognizes that he caused the making of that basketball going in the hoop.
Yeah.
Amazing. So that's a really
Very, very simple
nice
one.
example
Yeah.
of being responsible.
Yeah.
I mean, another nice example could be, let's say you decided to do something nice for your parents. And so you go and you clean the kitchen when they're still sleeping, or you make a cup of coffee for your dad the way he likes it and you bring it to him. Things like nice things like this. These are things that you could be responsible for.
Right.
And you could cause and then recognize that you caused it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's interesting when you look at it. It doesn't just say responsibility means you cause something. It says responsibility means recognition
of being caused.
So recognition, you're aware of something.
Mm-hmm.
It's within your zone of understanding,
Right.
So if you recognize something, like I recognize that Simon's wearing a black shirt. Right. Or I recognize that we have a laptop here and there's a table right here. These are all just things that you can observe, and things that you can notice, and things that you can see. So responsibility, recognition of being cause. Now here's a usually when you get into any situations in your life that might be uncomfortable, or you created a poor effect on someone, or you did something that you feel really bad about or ashamed of, or you just it wasn't a good thing that you caused. This is where it comes in really handy to know the meaning of responsibility in this sense,
mm-hmm.
where you can recognize that you were cause of the thing.
Right. How do you say?
We're going to just take a second to look at the Q&A because we can see that you guys are talking to us. So let's see here for a second. I don't want
to say the wrong.
Okay. Anjali.
Anjali.
Hopefully that's right. Anjali.
Yes.
Anjali says hello. So hello to you.
Anjali, you said, when I have done something bad, I feel bad about it and tell, maybe not right away in the past, but now I tell right away. And yeah, that is one of the ways to take responsibility.
Absolutely.
For whatever you've done.
Yeah, that's really great. Because you're recognizing it. You're recognizing that you caused something. And that's really just the first part of being able to be honest with yourself and with the people that you're interacting with. And so that's really important. Good for you. That's really great to hear. We'll take a second to kind of go through the other question and answers.
I want to make my mom a very pretty breakfast. That's great.
Great. And then our friend Evelyn says, my mom wants me to do this, but I find it very hard.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yes.
In fact, very hard.
Mm-hmm. Meaning to admit when you did make a mistake, or when you did mess something up, that it can be really hard.
Actually my fault
to admit it. And that's something that we're definitely going to talk about, because you are not alone at all. You are not alone. That it can be really difficult to admit that to yourself and to others.
No, for sure.
Definitely. Violet's asking, what does recognition mean? Right. So recognition is being able to notice something and see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just pulled that out of thin air. We probably could go ahead and Google a definition.
Yeah, we can probably do
that. We wanted to be fancy.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and be fancy really quick.
I'll use Merriam-Webster. Recognition. The act of accepting that something is true or important, or that it exists.
True or important, or that it exists. Great. So to acknowledge that it's there, or its
like
presence.
Knowing that, okay, that is correct. And
great. Good.
And Milo, in my family, if we tell what we did, we do not get in trouble and they will not get mad. I think that's very similar to Delphi. If you actually come clean with whatever bad behavior or bad things you've done, we don't necessarily punish you.
Mm-hmm.
We try to let the students handle it themselves and how to take responsibility and make up the damage if needed.
That's right. Yeah. And again, that is tying back to recognizing that you caused something that wasn't good. and wasn't great, which we have all done
Yeah.
many times. So I just want to make it a point again to say that, you know, no one is alone if they have made a mistake or if they've done something that they feel bad about.
Right.
Where you can grow, that's the first time I'm using that word so far in the
yeah.
webinar, where you can grow as a person and as an individual is when you are willing to take responsibility for something that you've done that you don't feel good about. So when you're able to recognize that you did cause that effect or that action or that thing that happened,
Right.
that's where you as a person went from this sphere of responsibility over your life, and then you just grew it. And that's kind of the concept is throughout your life. You know, you have a little baby, let's say, and the little baby is only aware of himself, you know, and, you know, maybe by year 2 or 1.5, the baby's like, oh, cool, I have a mom and a dad and a brother or sister or both or more or whatever.
Right.
And so then the baby is, you know, the child is growing and they're aware of, okay, wow, I actually have a family around me.
Right.
And then,
once they
you
go to
know,
school,
you go to school, you go to preschool or kindergarten, and then, whoa, then all of a sudden you have a teacher and friends, and you still have your family, and you still have yourself. And as a person grows and goes through their life, they're going to continue to expand like that, and they're going to continue to grow. And you guys may or may not have seen examples of this. I've seen it both with adults and with children or teenagers, where someone has obviously grown to a certain age, but their responsibility hasn't caught up with that age.
Oh yeah.
If that makes sense. You know, an example could be that someone ends up having a child and they're maybe on the young side and they don't know how to care for the child, and maybe they aren't willing to care for the child, or there's
not taking responsibility.
Right. Yeah. So, and I'm so not trying to judge at all, truly, because everyone's going to have a different circumstance if that were to happen to a young person. But you could also have, what's that?
We learn from these.
We do.
Yeah.
We really do. We learn from these experiences.
Really mess up and.
Yeah, exactly. So, so what I'm trying to start helping you guys to think about is that as your bodies are, you know, maturing and you're growing older, that you also want to keep your responsibility growing along with you. That's really the whole message that we're talking about today. Is as you get, you know, through school and maybe through college, or, you know, you start your first jobs in the work world, and you start, you know, just moving through the different phases of your life, there's going to be a lot of things that come your way that you're maybe are going to hit you in the face. Maybe you're going to run into some troubles and feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. There's no way out of this. I've definitely had many conversations with our students here about when that happens with them and they feel that there isn't anything they can do. And it's just like, oh no, this is just terrible. And and we always start by looking at that person's responsibility. So, you know, what have they caused in their life? Where are they at? Have they caused a situation where their teachers can't trust them anymore for various reasons? Let's say somebody was cheating. Let's say
many times.
Right. So you know, let's say that there was some major situation with a sports team where the coach felt that that person
can't be trusted anymore.
Yeah, couldn't be trusted, couldn't be part of the team, proved that they weren't really a team member, and that sort of thing. And this applies, of course, to adults too. You know, for someone in their job, you can have a person who has proven themselves not to be trustworthy as an employee for various reasons. You could have someone whose children end up getting taken away from them because they proved themselves untrustworthy as a parent. If they were like harming, you know, their children, or maybe using drugs and it was preventing them from being able to care for their children, etc. So there's so many different ways that someone's responsibility could completely
Fall apart.
and then all of a sudden the various pieces of their life that might be depending on them can't depend on them anymore.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
we always go back to this question of, what have you caused and how can you recognize that you've caused that? And sometimes it's very
hard.
small steps toward that. Sometimes it's really tough for someone to admit, oh yeah, I can see how me doing that thing to that person did actually create a really negative impact on them or negative effect on them.
Right.
And sometimes the person's able to view their life and go, oh my gosh, I'm totally not being responsible as, the volleyball team member, what do you call it? Captain or whatever.
It's always easier to blame it on someone else instead of recognizing that you caused it, like myself, I did it. Okay, we're going to take a few minutes to answer the questions. Amelie asked me, am I working at the school? No, I'm just helping out and provide any help that I can give to the school.
An excellent volunteer.
Yeah. And Henry said, how can I find this recorded for later? My mom wants to see it, but she is working.
Oh, cool.
This should be
this
up.
This is Henry in elementary, by the way, right? Henry, aren't you I think you're in Tammy's class. If so, hi.
I don't really know Henry.
Nice to see you on our webinar. As far as it being recorded, I know that they're sending that usually the next day.
Yeah, it's usually
they're
on YouTube.
putting everything on YouTube.
Yeah, you can find all the past webinars on YouTube. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. Next question. Amelie is referring to what we were talking about earlier, that maybe there was a student who was cheating.
Right.
A student could cheat on anything. Yeah, you could cheat on a test. You could say that you completed a step when you really didn't complete the step.
Right, that's in our school. That's
you
cheating.
Could copy what someone else wrote and write that off and play it off as your own. Right. Those would be some examples of cheating. Yep. Good. We'll just take a second and see if anyone else has any other questions so far about what we're talking about regarding responsibility and growth as an individual. Yeah. Are there any times that you guys have run into things where you've really struggled to view how you were responsible for something, or you knew deep down that you were, but you just had some kind of a mental barrier that you were heading up against on being able to admit it? So I would love to hear from our friends at home, listening to see what you guys think about that. Okay.
Milo said, one time I made a big board that was expensive, fall and break. And I admitted that I did it and told it to Ian, the person in ethics.
I wonder where that is. Maybe that's in Delphi.
Different Delphi?
Yeah, because I think that they live in San Francisco or around there. Okay, so then the next person, Elijah.
Would your responsibility grow less if you cheated, say, in a sport, or would it be the same?
Good question, Elijah. Very good question. What do you think, Simon?
It depends how you handle it, how you approach. Because I think everyone has that experience, like they mess up in life, or I don't know, cheated or something. But your responsibility grows when you recognize, and then you start handling it. That's when your responsibility grows.
So what would happen if you cheated in a sport? I don't know. How would you cheat in a sport? Foul somebody and get caught, or
not get caught? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then just not having good sportsmanship.
There you go.
That's one way.
Oh, the ref's not looking, and you like elbow a guy down to the ground or something so he doesn't make his goal. So what would happen if you didn't actually take responsibility for having fouled the guy? Would your responsibility grow from that, or would it decrease?
It would decrease because you're not recognizing what you're doing is wrong, or at least yeah,
exactly. I totally agree. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And then
he's talking about it in San Francisco. Great. Okay, good. And
I've ran into
Jolly
barrier lots of times.
Okay.
So
the barrier in regards to being able to admit.
Yeah.
You can so you're not having a hard time recognizing it, but you're having a hard time admitting.
Yeah, it's like the second part of the definition here.
Oh, we haven't even covered that yet. We should cover that.
It is called so responsibility is willingness to own or act or use or be. So first you have to recognize of you being cause, and then the second part of it is the willingness to own or act or use or be.
Right. So when it comes to the barrier of being able to actually admit it,
Right.
that is what I feel tends to be people's biggest challenge.
Yes.
A lot of that, just from what I've seen, maybe you all have seen other things as well that you could provide me, some information on, but a lot of the things I've seen is usually fear-based.
For
So
sure.
meaning if I admit to my mom
what would happen
that I ate 25 cookies last night and there's none left and they were supposed to be for the bake sale, she's gonna be mad because she, doesn't have time today to rebake those cookies for the bake sale, and she's gonna get really mad at me and there's no solution to the problem.
Right.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts on this. I hope I don't lose all my thoughts in my mind. Okay. The first one.
A lot to say.
Okay, the first thought is, okay, when you create a problem for someone else, if you present that problem with a solution, it's often going to go over a lot better than if you just dump a problem on someone. That's also useful information for when you're an adult and you're in a workplace or in any type of a setting where someone's depending on you. If you just dump, no one likes to have problems just dumped on them. None of us do. None of us like having a problem dumped on us. It's no fun. So what you can do is figure out a solution to the problem that can be presented along with the problem. For example, let's use the cookies thing.
Right.
Okay, so let's say I ate all my mom's delicious fresh baked chocolate chip cookies, and they were supposed to be for a bake sale, for my school that day or the next day. And I got carried away and I ate them all. And I go, oh my gosh, I now have no cookies to bring to the bake sale. What am I going to do? Well, I mean, my immediate thought on it is I would probably go to my mom and say, Mom, here's some money that I've saved up from doing chores. Or let's say I didn't have any money. Mom, I would like to do these chores and I would like to see if I could earn blah amount of money. And then I'm really sorry, Mom, but I did eat all the cookies that you made for the bake sale. Could I go buy some more from the store to take to the bake sale with this money that I earned?
Right.
I mean, guys, I'm just like coming up with this off the top of my head, but it's just an idea on how you can make it less scary. How you can make it less scary to admit when you messed up on something and therefore be able to take responsibility for it.
Okay, we're going to answer a few questions. So Elijah asks, if you do something and nobody finds out, would it hurt your responsibility?
Another great question, Elijah.
What do you think, Julia?
So I think that this one tends to come down to the individual and his own integrity with himself. Simon and I have done a couple of other webinars about the topic of integrity. And one of the really key guiding points about this definition of integrity is it has to do with a wholeness.
Right.
So you can kind of envision that anything that gets into making you feel less whole or making you feel less of yourself,
right,
is going to be something that's not healthy for your integrity.
Integrity, ethics, responsibility. I think all of those ties together.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to go with when you do something and don't tell, it creates a burden for you.
Right.
And it creates some heaviness that you have to live with. Obviously, whether or not you choose to live with that burden is completely up to you.
Right.
But the thing that we're covering in this webinar is that when you choose to take responsibility for whatever burden you might be sitting with, by recognizing that you caused it and being willing to own the fact that you did that thing or didn't do that thing or caused that effect or whatever, that's going to be the first step toward feeling better about it and cleaning up whatever damage or negative result or negative effect might have been caused by having done the thing in the first place. I hope that makes sense.
And Amelie asked, what happens if you want to watch some TV at home when you're supposed to be studying?
Also a good question.
Yeah.
I think, Amelie, that you're probably not alone.
Yeah.
You're probably not alone in that at all. And I mean, you know, I would say it's just one of those things you got to work out with your teacher and your parents.
Yeah.
You know, and it's probably more of a discipline, a self-discipline point, you know, where, you know, you kind of want to try to do the thing you're supposed to be doing when you're supposed to be doing the thing.
Which I don't like, studying, like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a discipline point where you're able to keep your discipline.
Yeah. And Isis said you can make the cookies. Yes.
Isis, that's really true. I guess I didn't say that because maybe not everybody knows how to make cookies, but absolutely. If you,
that's one way to
if you can whip out a recipe for cookies yourself and remake them, absolutely. Yeah. That's a great idea.
And Henry asks, what if you do something that you do not believe to be morally wrong, but someone else finds out and think it is wrong?
Gosh, Henry, what a brilliant question. Really, really, really a question where there could be a lot of discussion on that. Okay, so let's tie it into a specific example. Let me think about that for a second. Morally, you don't believe it's morally wrong, but someone else
finds out and thinks it's wrong.
Okay, let's just use, again, a really simple one. Let's say someone else thinks it's really, 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 really wrong to eat sugar. And I don't. I'm like, whatever. I have my Hershey's bar per day or whatever. You know, I have my my however much sugar I feel is correct for my body to have. I guess it gets into, sometimes you end up just going, okay, we're going to probably need to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
If it's something that doesn't have a very defined right or wrong, and it's a complete matter of personal choice or personal viewpoint, then it's totally okay for one person to have a perspective that someone else has a different perspective on. That's totally okay. I mean, really, our world is built from all of us being individuals and having our own viewpoints and our own feelings and thoughts on things. So there's nothing wrong with one person thinking that this exact thing is great and one person thinking it's not great. Sugar was just an example, but there's probably so many other examples. Now, this is different than when there's a moral code. A moral code is a series of agreements, kind of rules. It could be laws and it could be agreements. And these agreements, laws, and rules come about because through trial and error, this particular group has learned that these are the things that we should not need to happen, or the things that we shouldn't be doing. And so if you're part of a group that has a specific moral code, so a specific list of rules, agreements, laws, etc., that's different. So when someone's like actually breaking a moral code agreement, then that's a clear breakage of an agreement. That's a clear, direct violation of, you know, the group's rules.
Henry says, maybe through religion, if you offended someone's religion without realizing it.
Yeah, people can get offended about personal beliefs, you know, religion, politics. And if you do offend someone, I mean, you can just apologize for it. You can just go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you, or I really apologize that I offended you. People can get very sensitive about all different sorts of, you know, areas and topics. So.
And what does agree to disagree mean?
So let's say that you have, again, in the situation with the sugar example, where you have someone who, you know, feels that it's totally acceptable to have some sugar, and another person who's like, no, that's the worst thing you could ever do for your body. It's terrible. And so you have two people that feel very differently, and let's say that they have their specific reasons that they feel that way and that they feel differently. And their opinions aren't going to change by talking to each other about it. And that becomes clear and that becomes apparent after
Yes.
however much time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at a certain point, rather than argue for hours and hours and hours, it may be more beneficial, especially if this is a friend of yours, or let's say it's a relative, you know, and you're arguing about politics or religion or, oh gosh, anyway, don't even get me started about sometimes the things that can, the upsets that can happen by people having different perspectives on something. But one of the most successful things I've helped coach students on is just this concept of going, you know what,
You're right.
You're totally correct that you have this way that you feel, and I'm correct that I have this way that I feel, and we can just agree that we're going to both maintain our own viewpoints. Right. And so essentially we're just going to agree that we disagree on this topic or on this thing. Right. And you can often then just like move on, because it's kind of the end of the conversation. Yeah, like it's like, no cool, point. You feel the way you feel, no problem. I feel the way I feel, no problem. We both have freedom of speech. We're both allowed to feel how we feel about these different things, and we're gonna move on. All right, let's see what other questions we have here.
Anjali? I don't want to say the wrong name.
I think it's Anjali.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is a moral code? So moral code is like sets of rules and laws that is set among a group. Right.
Right. Rules, laws, agreements. Sure. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's different from ethics code.
Here's one from Oliver. Did you see that one? What happens
when you get blamed for something that you did not do?
Well, I think we have to tie it to an example. Yeah. So let's take siblings, and a sibling breaks their mom's crystal vase and lies and says, by the way, I've actually literally done this. I remember, I'm like, yep, I blamed my brother one time on breaking my mom's vase. Anyway, shame on me. I should have told my mom I did it. So let's say that happens, and you try to tell the truth and the truth isn't accepted. I mean, at that point, I would just say, try to make peace with it. Try to just recognize that you told the truth and you did what you felt was right. You could try to get the other person to admit that they didn't tell the truth. Right. And you could try to get the other person to come forward. Yeah. And say, hey, and actually it was me that broke your vase, mate. Mom, I'm really sorry. I'll pay you back. Or, you could try to get the other person
take responsibility,
to be responsible for it.
Yes.
All right, let's see other questions.
Okay, Henry said, in India, it happened in that our friend said that you can't have warm dairy products after cold dairy products, but no one really cared afterwards.
Okay, cool. So that was just a difference in either upbringing or culture differences. Very, very normal that there's cultures that do things very differently, right? Yeah. Like there's probably things that your culture does that American culture is very different on.
Yes.
What would be what would be an example? What do you think?
At least at Delphi, we call our teachers, supervisors, staff members by their first name.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah, we don't in Taiwan we don't really call our teachers just with their first name.
You would say Mrs.
Mr. like teacher, blah.
Actually really common in a lot of schools in the United States as well. Professor. That you would call your teacher Ms., Mrs., Mr. Yes. Usually the schools I went to when I was growing up did require that we said Mrs. blah blah.
And then when we came to Delphi, faculties are like our friends. I mean, even though they're like
I was
much
ask
older
you if you knew why that was.
Yeah, I mean, even though they're much older than us, we're on a parity basis. Yeah, so like
parity means
the same. Yeah, parity means the same. So no one's authority is higher than the other.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that is true. Obviously, like if there's some type of a situation that requires an adult.
That's a little different.
It's not to mean that as an adult we don't have the right to step in and handle something if we need to, but it's meant to give the student their own responsibility to be able to grow with their program.
Right.
And it's meant to make sure the student realizes and recognizes that they don't just have to sit there and be silent if there's something they're concerned about, or maybe there's something that they read in their studies that they don't agree with. Well, they're welcome to voice that, and they're encouraged.
They're responsible
to
for
voice
their
that.
own education.
Yeah. So that's, and absolutely. I mean, especially by the time the students made it all the way through our program, they are our friends. Like Simon is my friend. He completely is. And there is a parity where I can recognize that there's a very wonderful, capable human being named Simon who's here. And just because I'm older and I have, more years living on this earth than he does, I don't consider myself
superior,
better, or in any way than him.
Yeah.
He's amazing, and he has amazing intelligence and competence and ability to be an incredible man. So yeah, hopefully that explains maybe one of the differences about Delphi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Angelica. So what if someone is offending your religion and they keep saying your God is not real and stuff like that, and they never say sorry, and you're really mad at them because they keep saying mean things about it? What should you do?
I'm gonna read that one again. Someone's offending your religion, saying your God is not real. Oh, okay. Okay, so someone's kind of harassing, kind of poking at you, saying
about your religion
mean stuff. I mean, usually the first thing you can do is just say, that's not cool with me. I don't appreciate that. I'm not comfortable with that. Please respect my religious beliefs or my, viewpoint on this. If it continued, what do you think would be the next thing?
I mean, because that's your belief. I mean, you can hold your own integrity and not really listen to him about whatever attack he's making or whatever comment he's making. So I think that's what I would do. Just stop listening to it. And eventually, like, if you keep responding to him and get mad, he's going to continue. And if you don't, eventually I think he'll stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one way to handle it.
Yeah. And if it were really, nasty and you really didn't feel like you had a way to handle it, then you can, of course, tell an adult. You could tell your teacher, your parents, just an adult that is safe for you and that, will listen. All right, let's see any other questions.
Okay.
I think we actually need to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. Gosh, it goes so fast. So we are going to do, it's possible that we're going to do another 2 webinars next week. Simon and I haven't fully talked about it. We're either doing 1 more webinar or 2 more webinars.
I think we're doing 1 on Friday or Thursday.
They want us to do 1 on Tuesday, so we'll talk about that some more.
That's fine.
But we will be able to kind of continue this discussion next week into the next webinar. So let's see if we can just get a couple more questions wrapped up.
Elijah asked, what if you make more cookies and then no one finds out they ate them? Would you be right by telling them?
I don't understand.
What if you make more cookies and then no one finds out? No one finds out they ate them. Would you be right by telling them?
Telling on someone who ate the, I guess I'm not understanding who ate the cookies at that point.
Right. It's like someone else ate the cookie, not you.
I don't know how to answer that because I am a little bit confused about the question, I think. Okay, let's see. Any other questions?
Violet said that person just wanted a reaction. Yes, I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Milo said you could just say you can believe what you want and I can believe in what I want. Yes, and that's what Julia was saying.
Yeah, I love that.
We can have our own viewpoints, and then you can believe in A, I can believe in B. So
that's a really nice viewpoint to have with your friends. That's a nice agreement. And honestly, finding friends that are willing to just respect each other's opinions is something that will serve you really well as you grow into an adult. And having the kind of friends where you guys are comfortable with your differences,
right,
is really valuable, and will be the types of friends that probably will be the ones that stick by your side through whatever might happen in life.
Oh, Elijah, if you ate the cookies and made new ones and no one knew you ate them.
Oh,
I
like
mean,
hide the fact that you ate the
yeah.
cookies?
I mean,
I don't know.
because you didn't
I
cause
think
any
it would
harm, I
depend. I
guess.
think it would depend. Okay, this is my opinion. This is so getting into like opinion realm. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
preface it with that. Like,
Okay.
I would say if you felt bad toward your mom because she was the one who made the effort to make the cookies,
Right.
that's, for me, that would be what I would look at. And
Right.
if I
You
felt
feel
bad, like,
guilty.
oh, I don't want her to find out, then you're probably safe to just be open about it and just admit, recognize that you did cause that situation. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Henry asked me if I were the person doing the exams yesterday. Yes. I'm the person doing the exam.
Oh, you're
yesterday.
helping out the
Yes.
exams department. Oh,
Yeah.
great. Okay, let's see.
Okay, there's plenty. What is your favorite Disney movie, Julia?
Oh gosh.
Oh, she likes.
The first thing that came to mind is Beauty and the Beast.
You also like Moana?
I love Moana. I love Frozen.
Coco?
Is
Coco Disney?
I think it's Pixar.
Oh.
I think. I love the classics. I love Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Snow White. But I think right off the bat, I've also seen Beauty and the Beast on Broadway once or twice, and I've seen several different live performances of it, and I just think it's such a magical story, and that it's really beautiful. So that's probably my favorite one. How about you, Isis? What's your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, they're continuing with the cookie situation.
Lots of questions about the cookies.
So, I think you should let event go by and then pull mom aside and tell her. Yeah.
Cool. I like it.
I think that's just being honest.
I like it.
That's a good way to handle it.
Yeah, great.
Henry said you gotta go.
Okay, bye, Henry.
Bye, Henry.
Thanks for coming to the webinar. It's nice to talk to you.
It's really great. I listen to my two boys are listening. They're 8 and 10.
Okay, no problem. Well, thanks for joining us. It was really nice to have everyone, and I love the level of audience participation. It's so fun for us when we get to actually feel like we're talking with you guys.
Right, this is definitely
through the webinar. It's so fun.
Yeah. Milo said, "Can I have a cookie?" Yes, but not from us. Yes, Milo.
We will send one through the camera, through the internet to you.
Noah Ward said bye. Bye,
Noah. Thanks for joining us. It was really nice to have you guys.
And Isis says High School Musical.
Okay, great. Thanks, Isis. That's a great one too. Okay, so I think the only other thing I wanted to bring up is this is our second to last week of these particular live stream webinars. We have next week that we're doing Monday through Friday webinars. And then all I know is there is some type of exciting thing that next week is going to be announced.
Right, because last week
honestly,
we don't know
promise,
yet.
I'm telling you the truth. I don't know what it is.
We don't know yet.
It's just as much of a mystery for me as it is for all of you. But I would just kind of stay in the loop on Delphi's social media so you can see any announcements or any scheduled broadcasts that are going to be happening, and just stay tuned for those. Really, really, really nice to speak with you all today. Again, thank you so much for joining us and giving us this piece of time to talk about this topic with you. And we're getting some really nice thank yous. And
Patrick said, can you do again next week for 8-year-old age? Yes, we are doing one again next week. I'm not sure
of the
when.
age group, and I'm really sorry, but I'm not in charge of that. That's a different team that works out the scheduling of it and the logistics. But if I can make that happen, I will.
Yeah,
I will try to make
we're
that
doing
happen.
one next week. We
I just don't know the age group.
Yeah.
I just have no information on it. Okay, good. So anything else do we want to add anything else? I think we pretty much covered the main topic. It is something we could talk about for hours. For a long time. So again, next week we'll be doing another talk, and it'll be not the exact same, but it'll be along the same kind of flavor of personal ethics and responsibility and growth as an individual. Okay. So
Yes.
again, thank you guys so much for joining us. It was
Yeah.
really nice to chat
Yeah.
with you today.
Okay.
Bye.
And if you are interested in ethics book, feel free to go to heronbooks.com and check it out.
Yes.
Yes.
Great website.
Mhm.
Heron Books is our sister company, and they develop all of our curriculum that we utilize here at the
Yes.
school, and they are filled with a bunch of literal geniuses.
Mhm.
So feel free to just check out all the different things that they offer on their website. Thanks
Right.
again.
Bye.
Bye.